My wife had been working on her special project for 4 months now. It was not her personal project, but she was the lead person and responsible for its success. The project was designed to save her company, Bixler Enterprises. The last 4 months had been difficult due to the fact that she was forced to work hard. It was important for both her and the company. There was a good chance that Bixler Enterprises would go under if the project didn't get done. Sarah had a bachelor's degree from Albright and an MBA from Wharton. She was the smartest one in the family. I started working as an auto mechanic right out of high school, and after 21 years I was still an auto mechanic. I didn't mind because I liked the work and it paid well. It was enough to pay for Sarah's college and raise 2 kids. We weren't living luxuriously, but we were doing well. The kids had already shipped out and things were going pretty well with our income. Sarah got pregnant 3 months after we were married, at the age of 18. For the first few years we were married, we lived with my parents. They had a big, empty house as 4 of my siblings had moved away. That meant we had a babysitter while Sarah got her first few years of college. Because of 2 pregnancies, the 4-year degree took 6 years to complete. It was hard, but she made it through. I always had a job and never lacked for overtime if I needed it. After Sarah graduated from Wharton, we rented our own place. She had job offers from several large firms, but they all required us to move. I didn't mind, but Sarah wanted to stay close to home. That's why she decided to work at Bixler Enterprises. It paid well, but most importantly, it gave her responsibility and the opportunity to advance. Sarah was a hardworking, dedicated employee. The presentation is Thursday at the Radisson Hotel in Philadelphia. I took a few days off work to assist her as needed. In the end, all I accomplished was making her something to eat when she got home. I didn't know anything about her job, nor did I want to know. High-level corporate business bored me. Businessmen from Europe, Asia, and South America came here. The company paid for their airfare and provided rooms at the Radisson Hotel while they were here. It was expensive as hell. And from some of the things Sarah had said, the company was overestimating its finances. Her presentation was important to her, to the company, and to over 200 employees. Until Tuesday evening, everything was going well. Sarah came home in a new outfit, a gray suit with a white blouse. She laid out everything she needed on the bed in the guest room. When it came to housekeeping, she was normal, but when it came to work, she was meticulous. I didn't understand why she needed to pull out her fancy underwear, but I didn't say anything. In addition to her suit for the presentation, she had several cute little cocktail dresses for social events before and after the event. I had always avoided such events, but felt obligated to go with her if she wanted me to. She thanked me for the offer but said it wasn't necessary. All the materials and equipment she needed were neatly stowed in the trunk of her Volvo before she left work. She drove the car herself to make sure everything was in perfect condition. She had all day Wednesday to get ready, and all evening Wednesday to socialize with her guests. Sarah was so good at what she did that I felt it would have been better if I had just stayed away from her. Finally, she was done. She had checked and double-checked everything. All she needed now was a hot shower and a good night's sleep. I guess my mistake was that I started checking her stuff after Sarah started showering. I thought I was helping, but it turned out to be the opposite. I was shifting things on the bed when a small white envelope fell out of the side pocket of her makeup bag. An envelope from a drugstore, but not the kind we usually use. Inside were 10 pills. I had no idea what Previn was, and the instructions were confusing. If necessary, take 1 pill, and then a second pill 12 hours later. I thought it might be something she got from anxiety or nerves, but the instructions didn't make sense. The prescription was written in her name on Monday. I put the envelope back in as she was finishing her shower. I decided I wanted to find out more about Previn before I told her about it. Of course, if I mentioned it, it would mean I was going through her things. I hate dilemmas. While Sarah got ready for bed, I went to our home computer and typed in Previn. 10 minutes later, I joined my wife under the covers. I lay awake all night wondering why my wife had picked up a prescription for the morning after pill, especially after I'd had a vasectomy 10 years earlier. The next morning I got up early, but I wasn't rested. I took a long walk, hoping it would clear my head. I reluctantly headed toward home, afraid of what I might do or say when I got there. My son Josh joined the Navy after high school and was in his freshman year in San Diego. Our daughter Gloria married her childhood sweetheart last year and just moved to Dallas. That left just Sarah and me. I missed the kids but looked forward to growing old with my wife. She was the only woman I'd ever been interested in. Now it was all turning to shit. If Sarah was having an affair, she hid it well. Of course, I never checked up on her. I never looked at her emails or cell phone calls. I had no reason to. I had no way of knowing what she was doing at work or after work. I trusted her completely. John, where the hell have you been? You want some eggs or something? No, just coffee. I wasn't feeling very talkative. What's wrong, honey? It's only for 3 days. You can come if you want, but you'll be bored to death. No, I really don't want to go, but I hate leaving you alone. I worry when you're not here. That's very sweet, darling, but it'll be all right. I'm not going to leave the hotel all this time. I'll spend most of today making sure the conference room is ready, and tonight, I'll have a nice chat with our potential clients. Tomorrow I probably won't even get a chance to pee. I'll be home as early as possible on Friday. I promise you a great weekend, if you know what I mean. That all sounds good, but you can't blame me for worry. I'm an auto mechanic and I have a beautiful and successful wife. Sometimes I get the feeling that you're less interested in advancing your family situation than you are in advancing your career. Stop it. Damn it, John. I've always respected what you do for a living and never pointed out otherwise. You raised 2 great kids and put me through college. You are a great husband, a great father, and a good provider, and never forget that. I finished my coffee while she cleared the table. Do you want me to call you? No, that's not a good idea. I'll have my cell phone off and I'm going to turn off my room phone for the night so I can get some sleep. I'll call you every chance I get. I helped her load the car. She was as fussy about it as she was about everything else work-related. It would take her 3 hours to get to the Radisson Hotel. I stood on the porch and watched her leave. I didn't bother asking her about the pills. I spent the rest of the morning on the porch. I don't remember ever worrying as much as I did now. I felt small and insignificant. I felt out of my league. I was a small-town guy with a mediocre job and a successful wife. It was a mismatch. I should have noticed it earlier. I felt stupid. The best suit I had was a blue blazer and a pair of pants. At least I had a few ties, even if they were 10 years out of date. I had just finished getting dressed when the landline phone rang. Hey sweetie, I just wanted to let you know I got here okay. You had a good drive. I'm assuming the traffic wasn't too heavy. It was fine. I'll call you tonight. Now I gotta go. I'm in room 714. Sarah, I can be at my parents' or my brother's tonight. If you want to call me on my cell phone. Okay. Cell phone rings. I love you. Gotta go. I took my time getting to Philly. I didn't go straight to the Radisson. I stopped first and got a steak and cheese. Promised to be a long night. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I parked in the hotel garage and just waited. Sooner or later I had to enter the hotel. I just couldn't decide when to do it. The ringing of my cell phone helped me make my decision. John, I just wanted to let you know that everything has settled. I'm going downstairs now to meet some people and have dinner. You didn't forget anything, did you? No. Everything's fine. I've got everything in my room for tomorrow. Do you need anything? No, John. Relax. I'm going to turn my phone off. I'll call you tomorrow morning. All right. Chuckles. Have fun. It's not fun, John. It's work. I didn't look too out of place. The lobby, restaurant, and conference rooms were full of people, so I could remain inconspicuous. There was a cute little brochure that showed the layout of all the hotel rooms. I wandered through the different rooms and stopped at the walls, looking around at the crowd. I had no idea what I would do if Sarah saw me. I would find out if and when that happened. I found an event board that listed all the rooms that were being used by the various groups. Bixler Enterprises didn't have any rooms available for Wednesday night. I found this interesting. Sarah had said she wasn't going to leave the hotel, but now I wasn't so sure about that. There were 3 dining rooms: family, casual, and fine dining. Sarah wasn't a big fan of dining with kids, so I went to the casual room first. It only took 5 minutes to make sure she wasn't there. I had better luck in the gourmet lounge. It was a cozy little booth nestled in the corner, the kind of table people reserve to have a private rendezvous. Sarah was wearing a black cocktail dress with a deep neckline and pearls. She looked elegant, and her companion looked like he appreciated it. I knew a few of the people Sarah worked with, and he wasn't one of them. He was familiar to me, but there was no way I could remember him. There were plenty of free seats, so I had no trouble crossing the room. There were candles and small glass candlesticks on the tables. I blew mine out and told the waiter it was bothering my glaucoma. I ordered the usual chicken dish and made myself comfortable. The waiter poured my coffee for the third time. Excuse me. The guy at the table across the table looks awfully familiar. Do you know who he is? Sure, that's Malcolm Eugene Foote. He's a member of the town meeting. He's expected to run for Congress in the next few years. Is that his wife with him? She's very pretty. No, this is the first time I've seen her. He always uses that table for special ladies, if you know what I mean. I just smiled at him and asked for the check. I had never seen Sarah so sensual with a man before. She seemed to catch every word he said like he was God or something. They weren't doing anything inappropriate, but it wasn't platonic or businesslike. When I left, they were finishing their second bottle of wine. Now I understood why she had taken her fancy lingerie. I made myself comfortable in the corner of the lobby so I couldn't be seen. 10 minutes later, they walked out of the restaurant. She held his hand as they walked across the lobby to the elevator. I watched the floor indicators carefully. That the elevator stopped on the third floor was a good sign. It meant she hadn't taken him to her room. It was a bad sign when the elevator didn't go to the 7th floor. It meant she went to his room. Just in case I was wrong about something, I sat in the lobby and watched the elevator for an hour. People came and went, but Sarah was not one of them. I got my empty suitcase out of the car and walked up to the front desk. Even though I could prove I was her husband, I had a hard time getting a key card. They relented after calling the room, but no one answered. Finally, I was on my way to room 714 with the key card. I didn't even turn on the lights at first. I just sat in the dark room for over an hour. It wasn't hard to make sure she wouldn't come back to the room. First, I packed all her clothes and personal belongings. I didn't leave anything behind. I checked the package of Previn. There were still 10 pills left in it. On the dresser, very neatly laid out, were all the items she would need for her presentation the next day. I began to fill the suitcase. There were 24 specially bound promotional folders, and another 20 regular folders. All of them went into the suitcase. A digital projector went in next, followed by a laptop. I took her purse and cell phone, which she'd left in the room. All she had with her was a clutch and probably a tube of lipstick. I walked around the room as carefully as she did to make sure I didn't miss anything. Once I was satisfied, I put her car keys and my wedding ring on the dresser. Other than those 2 items, the room was completely empty. The elevator headed straight for the parking garage. I had no trouble carrying 2 suitcases, and 20 minutes later, I was on the expressway heading north. It was well over 3 in the morning. I had no idea it had been that long. An hour or 2 later, my cell phone rang. Caller ID showed it was the Radisson's phone number. John? Yes. Where are you? I'll be at the house soon. That's all I said. It was quiet on the other end of the line. Salesmen have an old saying, the first one to talk loses. It seemed like an eternity before she spoke. I'm sorry. She didn't ask anything and just hung up. I turned my phone off. It was obvious that she had gone back to her room. Later that day, she was to give a presentation that would save her company and bring her a promotion. I put the suitcases in the attic of the garage. Sarah never went there and never thought to look for anything there. Of course, at this point, I'm pretty sure it didn't matter. First, I gathered all my clothes and personal belongings. Most men have their own tools. It's usually a requirement for the job. I stopped by the store, loaded mine into the Subaru, and picked up my last paycheck. By then, the banks were already open. I didn't have to do any fancy money and asset manipulation. I just withdrew all the money from my accounts. I had lunch in Hagerstown, Maryland. I had enough money to live on for a few years, but I knew I would be looking for a job very soon. Sarah and I were alike in that. We both loved to work. I'm going to miss her. I killed a couple hours in the Luray Caves and rented a room near Whiteville. I had no idea what I was going to do. It was Saturday and I found myself sitting at the Chattanooga Aquarium, watching nature I had never seen before. I spent a few hours just relaxing and decided it was a good place to be. I bought a year pass to the aquarium, and by dinner time I had a place to stay. It was a mobile trailer in the park, but it was furnished and cheap. I didn't need much. First thing Monday morning, I was going to get a job. A good handyman can always get a job, especially if he's willing to work hard. I could remain inconspicuous until it was time to renew my driver's license or car tax. I'll worry about them when the time comes. Sunday afternoon, I called Gloria. I felt obligated to let her know what was going on, but Sarah had already told her. She was pretty frank with Gloria about what happened. She said she cheated, I caught her, I left, and she lost her job. I felt bad that she lost her job, but that was the price she had to pay. I asked Gloria to tell Josh what was going on the next time she talked to him. I also told her that I would call about once a month to check on how things were going. I didn't tell her where I was. By noon the next day, I had a job. It was actually a short walk from the trailer park with the Waffle House about halfway there. What more could a man want? I don't know how they handled the paperwork, but I was getting $20 an hour with no questions asked. I was happy and they were happy. I wouldn't even have to get into my money that I brought with me. About 2 months later, Gloria informed me that Sarah had moved out of the house and was living with her parents. Gloria didn't know anything else, but was happy that I was settled and doing well. Josh called me from San Diego just to let me know he was going on a cruise. He was an avionics technician on an aircraft carrier. He tried to explain what he actually did, but it was over my head. I never really knew much about technical stuff. Both of them were careful not to say anything bad about their mother. I appreciated that. After that, it was business as usual.